This video is brought to you by Holocasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description. Hello and welcome everyone to our 91st session of Holocasa. My name is Michael and today I'm talking to Lance Sommerville from Denver in Colorado in the USA. Lance has already a lot of experience in Denver as a real estate agent, and I'm super pumped to have him today at the show, the first person from Colorado and especially from Denver. Lance, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
I've been in the industry for 20 years and I've got kind of a mixed background. I've done anywhere from residential sales to brokerage sales. I mean, real estate offices for sale on the west south U.S. and commercial real estate. And so I've got two daughters, a wife who's amazing and also in the industry, just a little bit. And we live in the greater Denver area, which is what I'm a native to, although, no stranger to other states as well. So
amazing. Give us, first of all, a quick overview of Denver. For the ones who have maybe never been to the US or never been to Colorado, never been to Denver, what is it like to live in?
To the west, we have one of the largest mountain ranges in the United States. So we've got a ton of 14-foot mountain ranges and open space, hiking trails, walking trails, biking trails. And then, Denver kind of sits down at the base of it all. And so on a nice sunny day right now, we get snow-capped mountains, blue skies and sunshine, and we get about 320 days of sunshine a year. And it's beautiful. We've got some better mass transit programs, although not as good as some of the countries I'm sure you're familiar with. But by and large, we've got a lot of space here, and we still have a lot of, as many people are coming here, we still have a lot of elbow room and room to grow and room to grow out in certain areas. And so we're, I would say, a very split state in terms of the political atmosphere, very left and right. So we get a lot of folks right down the middle. And by and large, it's a very friendly state. I moved here from other places and said, certain roads, you wave to people and just let them know, like, hey, I'm friendly. I'm local. So it's a great atmosphere, and it's been a cool place to raise a family.
Amazing. I know that Boulder is always ranked on top as one of the most livable cities in the world, and I guess there are a lot of spillover effects down towards Denver itself, and maybe even Denver should be ranked on a very high level, and it might be just competed out by other smaller cities around the world. I'm not sure.
Well, Boulder's tough to compete with. It's just a beautiful city right up against the Flatirons, and the Flatirons are sort of these big, beautiful red rocks that come right out of the ground, and you've got just a ton of open space there. And the city is really not pro-growth, so they're very anti-growth, which keeps it, I guess, a reasonable size. And it's a very liberal community, very, kind of a very, I don't want to say free flowing, but very liberal. It's just beautiful there. Heavy tech industry there. So you've got, Google and some others that does have that trickle down effect. But, it's not cheap in Boulder. So you better be prepared, to spend some money, probably going rate in certain areas if you're going to live in Boulder versus Denver. But what an amazing community if you have the opportunity.
Quick overview of Denver and maybe in itself the city. How is it comprised? Districts, neighborhoods, maybe also for someone who already knows Denver. What are right now upcoming areas? What is right now trendy? Where do you see opportunities as well? So if you could give us a quick overview there, would be amazing.
Yeah, you bet. So in the heart of Denver, it's heavy office and industrial, probably more office than industrial, I should say, in the central business district. And then you have, the trending areas and areas that have been hot for years, like Washington Park. We call it Wash Park. Platt Park. Those are amazing places to live, definitely trendy. The Rhino District, as a kid, that was just very young workforce. So they've come into the Rhino District and completely revitalized the neighborhoods, and it's amazing what you can find down there. So, they do really cool murals and graffitis on the walls of buildings, and then they rotate it out. So they have these amazing, talented artists that come in and paint all these buildings, and then a couple months later they switch it out. So it's just a whole different vibe in that Rhino District. And I would say that's what we've seen a lot. So a lot of bungalows in Denver, or what they call Denver squares. So the bungalows are, 1890, 1900 type, year built homes that are like maybe a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, or a 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2, kind of a smaller footprint. And they're just like mostly all brick, typically a single story with a basement that's been dug out. And then you have the Denver squares, and those are a little bit more pronounced, and you find those not so much in the Highlands, but more so by the Capitol building, which makes sense because these are a little more stately for back in the day, potentially older as well. And they're square, but they almost have like a traditional / colonial style to them. We have so many amazing markets. The sub-markets like Capitol Hill is, just fantastic. We've got which butts up to the Cheeseman Park and areas with the botanical gardens. You've got Park Hill. Park Hill's done very well over the last couple of years in terms of, changing, having a facelift to it. But then you have places like, Five Points and Whittier, and a lot of people from other places are coming in and really changing up that demographic. So I think we got put on the map really in about 2015 as a state, 2014, when a lot of the marijuana laws changed and you could have, recreational marijuana here. And so that brought in, of course, people from other states that wanted to take advantage of the opportunity and try their hand in business. A lot of those operators wash out. So there's plenty of people that are maybe better at using it than actually running it as a business. So we've seen some of those people fall by the wayside, and then we've seen some that have done very well. So it's very interesting.
Concerning appreciation of value, would you say, okay, there's a lot of opportunity still, where if you had to choose a certain location in residential right now, which of those would you go for?
If I had to choose a location, or if I had to, so if I had to choose location with respect to residential, I would probably be looking at just a touch on the fringes or further up the I-70 corridor into the Lakewood area. I think there's a lot of growth opportunity in Rhino. I think there's a lot of growth opportunity in Highlands, Wash Park, Platt Park, University Hills. Those are all neighborhoods that are going to stay strong because of the base that they already have. But moving up towards the mountains is where we're seeing also a lot of older residents, 29, 30, 40-year residents moving out because they can sell their home and find another community, maybe warmer community. And then we're getting some of that younger generation moving in up the hill in that Lakewood area because they want to be close to the skiing, the mountain biking, and the whitewater rafting, and all the things that are offered right on a weekend basis or even a weekday basis that is just further up the hill and takes more time to get to. So not that it's a huge move, but if I was looking at parking my money, it would be some of those areas for sure, or even in some of these south suburban areas where you have a property, where you go out with the pandemic from San Francisco, LA, Orange County, New York, New Jersey, other states on the East Coast, right? Now we're starting to see a lot of people come in And so it's not just the medical marijuana or the retail marijuana. Now it's all these people that are teleporting from work.
So
it's interesting.
So you even see that they even go that far to say, okay, I'm going to go back to Colorado where I'm originally from. They don't stay in the suburbs. I remember several calls now from people in the US. They basically, what I felt was a lot of people go like, let's say 20 kilometers or 100 miles, 200 miles from where they used to live. Is it really... Are there also those people who just go like, okay, I'm going to go back to Colorado where I'm originally from, or anywhere I wanted to live in Colorado, so I'm going to go closer to the mountains?
I think we always get a lot of residents that come back, but I think what we're experiencing now more than ever are first-time residents, people that live as a drop in the bucket for these people. So I think we're seeing first-time residents more than ever.
That's
and I think the people that are returning to Colorado, I think the people that are returning here are actually a lot of, now more than ever, we have large populations of younger adults returning back to home, as I'm sure you're aware, and a lot of that's because of the pandemic. And so I think the people that are coming back are probably people that have a house that they can tuck into with mom and dad.
Yeah. And that we see that definitely home office triggers nationwide gentrification, and not only like the gentrification, which from within cities, but now we have like maybe also there's some spillover of some dynamics from residents from Denver, let's say, who might also not be welcoming the ones as much because they say, honestly, like the rental prices are going to skyrocket as well. Some certain new cafes are going to be opening, which offer or which serve rather the high-end people, and I just want to have like my normal coffee place. I can see that from various different parts of Europe where I also see like a certain pay or salary gap, and I'm sometimes surprised about, like, let's say sometimes low cost countries where I feel okay, it's not that low cost anymore because at the cafes I like to go, suddenly I pay like a huge premium. This brings me to one question you talked about that right now. You talked also about the tech scene. A quick detour on what's moving the economy. Basically, are there certain industries, or is there a certain main industry in Denver apart from tech in Boulder, maybe, which is definitely like overrepresented or highly represented?
These financial industries, technology, and then of course real estate, and that's actually propped us up as an economy against the pandemic. We also have, from a job growth and from an employment perspective, we have about a 0.09% growth year over year. Going into the pandemic, we were sub 3% unemployment or employment rates. Now we'll return to about a 3.5% this year, but our GDP is predicted to be pretty strong, and a lot of it is just because a lot of people didn't lose their jobs; they just had to go to their home office, and so yeah, you bet. Absolutely, people can reach out. Certainly, always welcome the opportunity to talk to anybody, and certainly if they have an interest in multifamily, or if they have an interest in commercial investments, that's really going to be my first and foremost forte. And then on the residential side, if they're looking for, housing where they want to relocate, then I have partner team agents, I guess you could say, that I, get together with, and we make sure that that person finds exactly what they're looking for. If it's an investment, then that's a whole different story, right? Because that would be a different product. But marketplace, the condo project, and I can rent these out. Those are some things that we're looking at. Or maybe there's some retail that already has an underlying zoning of industrial or light industrial, and maybe that can be flipped to more of a logistics operation or versus retail. And so we're seeing, and of course, multifamily, we have some demand housing. So, I do work with investors that have different financial requirements on return on equity. But there's many people coming from big cities that if they got a 3% cap rate, that would be it. So I talked to some people that have large requirements, and it's fun to know that we still have good opportunities here, that where we're not completely compressed with our cap rates.
Can you explain to the audience who's maybe not aware of the term cap rate, what it exactly stands for?
Sure. The simplest way, and my apologies, the simplest way to put it is, return on investment, right? So if I'm going to put, if it's a $1 million property, right? What am I going to get out on an annual basis? And there are formulas that go along with it, but to keep it simple, it's, after all of my expenses, what was the percentage that I got back on an annual basis? So that's the easiest way to explain it.
I guess the audience knows about return on investment, and just making sure that this is like cap rate is equal to return on investment. Perfect.
Yeah.
A quick overview apart, or also along your services, you guide the purchaser obviously along the entire purchase, along the entire buying process. When in a couple of sentences, can you lay out what they have to expect, maybe as in the buying process, so that they already know what more or less the process is when buying in Denver?
Yes. So if you're buying a home in Denver, then that process would consist of putting some money into a trust account or with a title company. We don't use lawyers here to transact our business. We use title companies for the estate. And so to think of it as you would put kind of money down to say, hey, I'm securing the home with a contract and some money down. And then you would have your due diligence from your inspections, and you would have property inspections, and you would have, of course, money that goes towards having someone appraise it from the bank to make sure, or, there's in the Denver market, there's less than 1,000 homes on the market for sale that are just single family, not condos, not townhomes. Okay, so it's very tight. So if you're coming here for permanent residency under, $700,000, it's going to get very, very bottlenecked, very tight. But we do guide. We're there 100% along, so from start to finish, and we sometimes do more than just the real estate transaction, because people need resources. People need, a lot more than just someone to help them with that purchase. So that's how that works. Now on a commercial side, I can tell you right now, on a commercial side, it is a very different process in terms of, the due diligence. There are more inspections involved, and there are more costs involved to a buyer. But anybody who's looking at buying $1 million or $2 million or $1 or $3 million, just for example, building, they should do these inspections. They should, pay to do their due diligence and homework, so that they're not getting stuck with something that has bigger problems than they realize. Okay. So,
makes sense. With or without inspections, how much as a resident, or commercial is much more expensive because there are, I guess, more process involved. But let's say transaction costs for the normal buyer, what does he or she have to expect, more or less?
On a residential home, I would expect their kind of initial exposure to be about $15 to $20 out of pocket for those inspections. And then, of course, they would have their mortgage, the cost of money, right? So you'd have the cost to borrow money. And those vary depending on the lender. You really have to make sure you know who you're working with. Fortunately, we have lenders with what we call in the United States low comp plan. So their interest rates are going to be lower than what you would find at a bank or another broker. And so to pay a buyer agent. But oftentimes they still do other places around the, every commercial deal I do, I let my clients know I'll always see if I can negotiate a buyer agency fee. And if I cannot, then I will tell you as you're my buyer, and you can determine if you want to use my services, and this is what my services will cost.
Got it.
And usually that's a range.
Yeah.
So.
Lance, I know we're running out of time. I would love to talk much longer with you. You will definitely come back to the show.
I do want to give a shout out. If you're okay with me moving the computer a little bit,
Absolutely.
I'd love to show you where I'm working from.
Go ahead, yeah.
All right, so I'm at a new commercial project called the Vehicle Vault, and I'll post it on the website.
Absolutely.
It's a brand new project, and I'm really excited about it because this is so unique. These are custom vehicle storage garages. So people build these out with vehicles or maybe motorcycles, or maybe they have some watches and some wine they want to display or art. This is a luxury vault that keeps their items or possessions secure. It's a very affordable rate here. We go from the 200s up to the mid 3s per garage, and then they can build them out and customize them. And it sits adjacent to one of a kind Vehicle Vault Museum, which is just phenomenal. So I'm going to show you a quick thing of the Vehicle Vault Museum.
Yeah, go ahead. Now
okay.
I'm curious. Yeah.
Okay. And then someday I would love to come back on and talk shop with you. So
absolutely. Yeah.
I won't go away after I show you this, but I'm very excited. So I'm going to show you the museum side so that you can look at a little bit of what I'm talking about, and hopefully we have kind of a good camera on it. So let me know if we don't.
Wow. Yeah.
So I don't know
wow.
if I can zoom in, but if you can imagine, I mean, these are just, beautiful luxury vehicles. Am I doing good or not?
Absolutely. Yeah. I can see everything properly. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about it because, now we can offer something to that higher end or international client that wants to come in, maybe go up to Vail Mountain, and enjoy the scenery, drive something that they wouldn't normally drive. They would have a crash pad here, and it's all secure and it's very high end. And so it's a very unique project. And I'm excited that I got to share that with you. Thank you.
Awesome. Your final thoughts, your final words, which you would like to share? If you can decide, you can maybe something else share which you haven't shared, which I haven't asked you.
Well, first and foremost, if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm grateful for the opportunity to chat with them. So always, whether it's for residential or for commercial. And then the only other thing I would share is that someday you should really consider having my wife on, because she's much prettier, smarter, and cooler than I, and she's well accepted all around the world. She's pretty neat. So we'll talk about that another time.
Oh, awesome. I definitely want to have her on the show. How can people reach out to you?
So, if they want to email me, they can email me at lance@mycoserch.com, and I'll spell that. So that's Lance at MYCOSEARCH. They can find me. I'm pretty easy to find online on Google. So if you just type in Lance Sommerville, although my last name is not phonetic, you'll have the spelling right there for the show. They can Google me and type in Remax and they'll find me, or they can call me at 303-968-70.
Lance, thank you so much for your
time.
I really appreciate that you had the time to be on the show. I send the best regards to Denver, and we talk soon. And really looking forward also to talk to your wife.